About knowledge and skill. Okay, so this is the ATM at Union Bank. At Union Bank, if you put a card, your card in the ATM, you do your PIN thing, you take your money before you get the card back. Well, guess what? Lots of people leave their cards in ATMs. All the time. It's a very, I even did it once myself. It's not an education and training thing. It's not a reward and consequences thing. If you leave your card in there, you get a whole bunch of stuff you got to do. And Chase, on the other hand, you put your card in, you get your card out before you get your money. Guess which system has more cards left in the ATM? Now, in doing this, I thought, oh my God, you know, because it comes up after and it says, do you want another transaction? So I'm thinking, like, I could walk away and somebody could walk up and make another transaction. But you have to put your PIN in again. So this is much more. So environmental cues, hard soft stops. And these take account of, we have valuable memories, we have selective attention, as you will see, and we have limited capacity visual. This is appreciating the system that we are within the larger context of the system. This is not what was done in demos. Right? So we weren't on electronic orders at that time, so what we did, we had pre-formatted, pre-printed orders that were prompts. And we went from 50% up to about 75%. And then we started giving feedback. So very simplistically, I'm thinking, I'll just call a physician, we'll have this conversation. Well, you know, physicians don't respond to other physicians' phone calls either. And what I found out, it'd be 2 or 3 phone calls before I'd connect. And it's just like, oh, this isn't working. So we do a form letter. And the form letter is very specific. Dear Dr. Jones, your patient, Mrs. Smith, had this surgery on this day. You gave this antibiotic, and you know what? Your society recommends this antibiotic. This is informational. We know you improve in the future. Period. That's it. After 2 letters, you get a conversation. So then we have a one-on-one conversation. And so see, now you have people, process structure, feedback. This really should be, in the early parts, this is not judgment about performance. It's really inquiry, because you haven't worked out the mechanism. But eventually, when it's a very stable process, and the last issue I was involved on this, there were 65 physicians between 2 campuses, and just using this process at the end, there are only 2 I ever had to talk to. I mean, specific about the patient, context, what you need to do. And it's very important when you give feedback that you give both aggregate feedback and specific feedback. Why? If you get a specific case, you can dismiss it. It's an outlier. If you just give aggregate feedback, there's no action there. It's just no action. It just makes people feel bad. But if you say, gee, this is your overall performance, these are your peers, and you know, these 2 cases, this is what you could have done to be as good as your peers, it sticks. It's about making it sticky. So in the beginning, when we would do this, I'd have to go through the iPad apps, right? You don't understand, the data's not correct. Now, on these, with most of the leadership, these questions almost never get out. They get into a very appropriate conversation about the capacities and limitations of the data. And when people ask me, is the data accurate, I always say, what? It depends. What do you want to use it for? You know, if you want to look at process-based,